I was talking to Yasef, and I was showing him how Prophet Isaiah had prophesied our destruction up off the land before it happened. You know what I'm saying? Kind of tell her what we was talking about, Yasef.
Okay, so Prophet Isaiah, he had prophesied how we was gonna be how the land was gonna end up going desolate, and it was gonna be like the land was just gonna be empty, and we wasn't gonna be in it, and we was gonna be out in Africa.
All right. Before then, what kind of prompt Prophet Isaiah to say that? This was around by like 735 BC. This is Isaiah chapter 6. All right. Prophet Isaiah said this because during that time, the northern kingdom, we was on Egyptian religion. You know what I'm saying? We was on that Egyptian religion and we was going downhill. You know what I'm saying? We kind of had lost the ways basically when Solomon had set that stuff up. You know what I'm saying? Them other folks' temples and stuff up. You know what I'm saying? In the land. It was kind of like downhill from that. And we kind of like didn't recover from that. But we recovered a little bit. Our last chance to get right would have been doing King Josiah days. This was like around about 640 BC. 640 BC. But let's go back, you know what I'm saying, in time, and then let's establish that it wasn't no 10 lost tribes. And it's always important to establish that it wasn't no 10 lost tribe. So then we can understand that all the people went into Africa. You know what I'm saying? That all the people went into Africa. And once you understand that we all went into Africa, then that kind of dispel all those other myths that exist, because it's kind of like two histories. You got Jewish history and you got Hebrew Israelite history. You see what I'm saying? And it's a big difference, in how we got Jewish history mixed up with Hebrew Israelite history is because the people we abandoned our heritage to translated our history. And then they have a history. You see what I'm saying? So that's like Jewish history and Hebrew Israelite history. It's the difference. All right, let's go show it wasn't no 10 lost tribes. All right, this is around about 7. This is around about 715 BC. This would be under King Hezekiah. King Hezekiah, this is like 7 years after the Assyrians supposed to had took all the tribes away. In 722 BC, it's a myth out saying that the tribes of Israel, 10 tribes was taken from the northern kingdom and taken to Assyria and other different parts of the world. And that's how that myth come about, that the natives and the Hispanics and all those folks are Hebrews, and they got this chart that they, these occult groups, these camps show that try to say that the people from the Americas, Natives Americans, Mexicans, are Hebrew Israelites. But that's false history. The Tanakh showed that that's false. And when you understand that there's no 10 lost tribes, then you understand all that. All right, and then how it wasn't no 10 lost tribes? You go to 2 Chronicles 30. This is under King Hezekiah. King Hezekiah was a important king. You know what I'm saying? The creator, had favoritism, toward King Hezekiah. And he believed in the creator. We had a lot of kings that some of them believed, some of them didn't. You know what I'm saying? But the majority, all the kings of Israel was wicked. You see, our kingdom split up after Solomon's death under Solomon's son Rehoboam, when Jeroboam from the tribe of Ephraim went into Egypt, and he got, those 2 golden calves, and he come out with, but the creator had told, him that he would get 10 tribes, if he followed, the creator's law. Well, he went and got the Egyptian religion and brung it out and still had the 10 tribes, and that caused trouble the whole time for the whole northern kingdom and stuff. Our kingdom split. Those who followed Jeroboam in the golden calf, and the tribe of Benjamin and Judah that followed, the Creator's law. David's descendants and stuff. All right, King Hezekiah gonna be King David's descendants. All right, and this is in 715 BC. This is 7 years after the so-called Assyrians supposed to had took 10 tribes away to make it 10 lost tribes. Well, all the tribes were still here under King Hezekiah. And this is 2 Chronicles 30. And King Hezekiah sent to all Israel and Judah and wrote letters also to Ephraim and Manasseh that they should come to the house of the Elohim at Jerusalem to keep the Passover unto the Elohim Yah of Israel. See, he wrote a letter to all Israel. It would have been impossible to write a letter to all Israel if they was gone. You see what I'm saying? So, and then as you read down and get to verse 6, it says this. So the post went with the letters from the king and his princes throughout all Israel and Judah, according to the commandment of the king, saying, Ye children of Israel, turn again unto the Elohim Yah of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, and he will return to the remain of you that are escaped out of the hands of the kings of Assyria. So they basically escaped, and then he go down to name the tribes that escaped. So it would have been impossible to be, 10 lost tribes. This is 2 Chronicles verse 30. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm going to just get to the verses that show that the tribes were still around. All right, 2 Chronicles 30, verse 11. Nevertheless, diverse of Asher and Manasseh and Zebulun humbled themselves and came to Jerusalem. All right, 30:10. So the post went from the city to city throughout the country of Ephraim, Manasseh, and even unto Zebulun, but they laughed them to scorn and mocked them. Now they laughing and making jokes about coming to the Passover dinner with King Hezekiah, and this is 7 years after the Syrians supposed to have took everybody away. And that go to show you that them folks wasn't studying no Assyrians, that the Syrian captivity wasn't all that. But I'm gonna show everybody where who the Assyrians actually came to get. You know what I'm saying? They did take some people away, but they took the soldiers. You see, we had the tribe of Reuben. Look, the tribe of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh lived on the other side of the Jordan in the heart of the enemies, and those was the fighters. Those was the fighters that put in the majority of the work for us when we came out of Egypt. But I'm gonna show you that in a second too. All right, and then you go to 2 Chronicles 18. 2 Chronicles 30:18. For a multitude of the people, even many of Ephraim, Manasseh, Ishkar, Zebulun, had not cleansed themselves, yet did they eat the Passover otherwise, but it was written. But Hezekiah prayed for them, saying, The good Elohim pardon everyone. All right, so them tribes are still there. And then the ones that's not mentioned during King Hezekiah time gonna be mentioned during his great grandson time, King Josiah. And then you go to 2 Chronicles chapter 34. This is around about 640 BC, and all the tribes not mentioned during his King Hezekiah time gonna be mentioned during his great grandson time, and that's 34 verse 6. So did he in the cities of Manasseh, Ephraim, Simon, even unto Naphtali, with their mattacks round about. So if them Hebrews was present, in King Josiah's time, then they was around in King Hezekiah time. This is his great grandson. All the ones that's not mentioned during King Hezekiah gonna be mentioned during King Josiah time. You know what I'm saying? Like a few years later. All right, these are the tribes that the king of Assyria took. All right, if you go to First Chronicles chapter 5. First Chronicles chapter 5. All right, and then you get down to verse 18. First Chronicle chapter 5, and then you get to verse 18. All right, the sons of Reuben and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh, violent men, able to bear bucklers and sword, and to shoot with bows, skillful in war, and were and 40,000, 440,700 men. All right, and then when you get to First Chronicles 5 verse 26, you will see it says this: and the Elohim of Israel stirred up the spirit of Paul, king of Assyria, in the spirit of Talicapazer, king of Assyria, and he carried them away, even the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh, and brought them unto Hela and Harbor and Hur and to the river Gazon unto this day. You see what I'm saying? So those are the ones that the king of Assyria took. He only took 3 tribes. You see what I'm saying? But them 3 tribes was sometimes stationed, you know what I'm saying, in other parts, but they was the fighters, and those was the ones that the Assyrians needed. And they slick needed them because they was having trouble. The Assyrians was having trouble. See, we also hired the Assyrians. You know, when Judah and Israel was having wars with each other, you know, we was fighting to try to control each, you know, others, you know what I'm saying, inheritance. We hired Syria, and Judah hired the Assyrians. But they came into the promised land and they was transgressing, and the Creator destroyed them for that. You know, it's like whoever occupied our land kind of like get it later on. All right. So, you know, you see it wasn't no 10 lost tribes. They get rid of the 10 lost tribe myth right there. Okay, now listen. When we went into Africa, we abandoned our heritage to some Babylonian scribes. You see what I'm saying? This is kind of like, this history that I'm going to talk about is kind of like dealing with the last part of our history. You know, the Bible cover a lot of history, and you just can't cover all this in one video. It's impossible. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot of history. But I'm going to deal with what happened to us and what got us here in the conditions that we in now. Okay, we kept doing a whole bunch of stuff. See, look, this, all praise be Almighty Yah, turn right to it. Ain't that something? You see him turn right to it. King Jeroboam brung those 2 golden calves out on us. The Egyptians put that on us. See, the Egyptians had to do trade on the other side of the promised land. Look, the Egyptians had to do trade on the other side of the promised land. Look, this Egypt, they had to do trade with their relatives in Mesopotamia. Pharaoh was real smart. See, Pharaoh knew when we was in Egypt, and the story that happened with Joseph and his brothers, and when Joseph answered those prayers, when he answered those prayers and answered Pharaoh's dreams, and Pharaoh's scribes and sorcerers couldn't answer those dreams, Pharaoh knew it was a problem right then. See what I'm saying? His magicians and his pharaohs wasn't able to answer, you know, the dreams that was plaguing him. And then here this Hebrew did it. You know what I'm saying? And Pharaoh understood that was a problem. And Pharaoh gave Joseph Asenath, gave him the priest of On's daughter. And the priest of On was like the big religious boss of that time. He had the same power as the Pharaoh, probably even more power. You know what I'm saying? Because he was the priest of their whole religious system. And Pharaoh gave Joseph his daughter, Asenath. And then from that union, they had 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. The tribe of Ephraim, if you research his history, it kind of like did the golden calf, the golden worship that come from Jeroboam. See, when Solomon, after King David, then his son Solomon took the throne, and Jeroboam from the tribe of Ephraim went into Egypt, he was going to Egypt to be with his relatives, with his friend Shoshank. Shoshank was, you know, an Egyptian, and the tribe of Ephraim were kin to the Egyptians from their mother Anaseth being the Egyptian. You know, the Egyptian women played the leading role in Egypt. You know, if you had this person as a mama, that was good. Whereas in the Hebrew hierarchy, you know, parentage mostly come from the father. You know, this is how you say who you is by your father. But in Egypt, it could be your mother or your father. They didn't, you know what I'm saying? They didn't make a difference. Well, anyway, Ephraim was kin to those Egyptians. And from Joseph's 2 sons being born by that Egyptian woman. And when Solomon died, his son come on the throne. while Jeroboam was in Egypt in exile. He come out of Egypt with those 2 golden calves. Look, turn right back to it. Ain't that something? All praise be Almighty God. You see that? Turn right to it out of all these pages. All right. This is Jeroboam. And, you know what I'm saying? And this is, I ain't going to cover the, whole history, but and the king answered and the people roughly and forsook the men's counsel. Rehoboam and Jeroboam, had a fallout, and Rehoboam asked the council of the elders, and they told him to do this, and he went against their counsel, and Jeroboam got the 10 tribes. And then this is what Jeroboam did. Whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 golden calves and said unto them, it is too much for you to go to Jerusalem. Behold, God, behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of Egypt. You see, he put them 2 golden calves on us. And those 2 golden calves was on us for like 240, about 270 something years from when the time that, King Josiah was prophesied to be born, and that he would get rid of that Jeroboam, religion that he brought out of Egypt. And, he was born, and King Josiah got rid of that Jeroboam Egyptian religion. And then, after the Egyptians killed him, we went back to the Egyptian religion. And that's the book of Jeremiah. That's what the whole book of Jeremiah is about. And then we went into Africa, because we said we wasn't going to do that we wasn't going to do the promised land. That we wasn't going to do the covenant no more, and we was going into Egypt, and we come up off the promised land. All right. All right, let's see. All right, let me see. What did I say that I was going to do? All right. Oh, yeah, look. Let me show you how we abandoned our heritage to the Babylonian scribes. All right, you go to Second Kings chapter 24. And then you'll see at the same time when the king of Assyria took those 3 tribes array, Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh, they placed some people in our land. They brought some scribes from Babylon and put them in our land. All right. You know what I'm saying? And this is in 722 BC. And them same people would come to the Passover dinner under King Hezekiah, who had all the tribes there in 715 BC. This is 7 years after these people was placed, All right. And it go like this. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Cuddar and from Abel and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. Okay, to show you that those people, those Sepharvaims, and then as you read, it'll tell you how they start to do the religion that was in Samaria. You know what I'm saying? That we was doing and stuff. And then, when you get down to chapter 2 Kings 24, 17, verse 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 33, shows that they feared the Elohim and served their own gods after the manner of the nations whom they carried away. They had carried the tribe of Gad, Manasseh, Reuben them away, and they was following, the religion of the northern kingdom. When them, them Sepharvaims, but they was Babylonian scribes. And then as you get down to verse 24, it says, so these nations feared the Elohim and served their graven images, both their children and their children, as they do, and their fathers do unto this day. Okay, the word Sepharvaim is the Hebrew word for Sephardi, Sephardim, and Sephardic. It's only 2 set of Jews, Ashkenazi and the Sephardi groups. And that word Sepharvaim cover the Sephardi Jews. You know what I'm saying? Sephardim, Sephardic, and Sephardi. They the same people. They Sepharvaim, and that's where they come from. And that's like a town in Babylon where they wrote all the Babylonian history, the gods of Babylon. That's why I come and say that them people would worship their own gods and, and follow our tradition is because they had gods in Babylon. They recorded Babylonian history, the whole Babylonian history, Norjab, Marduk, all those gods. That, you know, the Babylonian scribes, the Sephardims, recorded their history where they was placed in our land. And then if you go to 2 Kings, you know, this showed that they was placed in 722 BC. But if you go back to King Hezekiah, who was a good king, see, a lot of good history is in his books, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, he was a good king, so you're going to find some good history there. All right, 2 Kings verse 25. Check this out. This is in 715 BC. This is 7 years after them people was placed in our land. Look, all right. And all the congregation of Judah, this is 2 Chronicles 30 verse 25. And all the congregation, you know what I'm saying, because King Hezekiah sent a letter to everybody to come to the Passover dinner. He don't care who you was. If you stayed in Israel, you needed to get to Jerusalem to do this Passover dinner. All right. So, and all the congregation of Judah with the priests and the Levites and all the congregation that come out of Israel, which showed that it wasn't no 10 lost tribes. Israel still in the land. All right. Let me see, all the congregation that come out of Israel and the strangers that come out of the land of Israel and that dwelt in Judah rejoice. See, the strangers, that's going to be those Sephardi's. That's going to be those Sephardi Jews today coming to the Passover dinner for the first time in 2 Chronicles chapter 30. The Sephardi Jews, whose real name is Sephardim. You see what I'm saying? They come to the Passover dinner. Okay, they was in our land the whole time. You know what I'm saying? And we didn't bother them because we was kind of like on that Egyptian worship. You know what I'm saying? It didn't get cleaned up to King Hezekiah's great-grandson, King Josiah. He cleaned it up. And then the Egyptians come out and kill him and then put his son on the throne that was weak. And everybody went back to Egyptian worship, and then we went into Egypt. You see what I'm saying? Everybody besides that 1% that was captured and taken to Babylon. And then how you know that 1%, that the history of them, you get the book of Ezra, Nehemiah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. I ain't got them all in the right order, but you know, those 5 prophets covered the exiles, that 1% that was taken to Babylon when we said we was going to do the Queen of Heaven worship. You remember I was showing you about the good figs and the bad figs, how it said, you know, he told the good figs to go to Babylon and go on and submit to Nebuchadnezzar, and, you know, he'll bring them back. You know, that's why the Persians destroyed the Babylonians 50 years later. You see what I'm saying? And those exiles come home. But us that didn't trust that, and we didn't believe what prophet Isaiah said, because we didn't want to get taken to Babylon, we said, forget that. We're going into Africa to worship the Egyptian religion. And we ain't gonna see no war and everything. And then I showed you how prophet Isaiah had prophesied that way before that happened. You know what I'm saying? In 735 BC, we went into Africa in 588 BC. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Get your phone and see how many years that is. All right, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna cover that too. So I done showed the Sephardims in our land. Now they laying low and being quiet. You know what I'm saying? They ain't making no noise. You know they some Babylonian scribes. They got to lay down and be real quiet, and then start acting like how we act. You see what I'm saying? You see they come to Passover dinner.
You see it.
All right, from 735 BC minus 588. You know what I'm saying? That's when, you know what I'm saying?
147.
Huh?
147.
No. 735 minus 588.
147.
147 years later, then we broke the covenant and went into Africa. All right, yeah, because it was 134 years that we abandoned it to them Babylonian scribes. All right, the Babylonian scribes come to our, Passover dinner under King Hezekiah, those Sephardi Jews, so they done learned our tradition and everything. They've been there for 7 years. Okay, if you go to chapter 6, prophet Isaiah kind of like summed it up. He even said this before the Sephardians was even placed in our land. This is what Prophet Isaiah said. And then this is in 735 BC. He prophesied our destruction because we was on that Egyptian religion. All right, I ain't gonna, read, the whole chapter. I'm gonna read the most important part, because he had asked the Creator how long, it was gonna be, till we get destroyed. And then he said this. And he said, go and tell this people, hear ye indeed, but understand not, and see ye indeed, but perceive not. Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and convert and be healed. Y'all understand? Y'all see the ignorance that our people is in and don't understand heritage is because he shut their mind. Their mind was shut up. Their mind was basically shut up before then because we was on that Egyptian religion, believing in them other folks' religion. But he sealed it. You know what I'm saying? That, man, you ain't gonna be able to get the truth until you go through them curses and to those tragedies that the Creator had prophesied. We the only people that had a divine judgment coming to us because we had direct contact with the Creator, and we forsaken that for some Egyptian religion stuff. And then so he shut our whole eyes and everything. He shut us down. Prophet Isaiah did. And then our destruction came immediately after that. He was in Judah, safe, giving oracles to Israel. You know what I'm saying? And everything he said then came to pass, besides the prophecies of our redemption. And they just about getting ready to start taking place now, because we know fulfilled our bondage. The 400 years that the prophet Abraham was told that his descendants will be in a strange land for 400 years. All right, this is Prophet Isaiah in 735 BC, giving his oracle. Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and convert and be healed. Then said I, Elohim, how long? And he answered, until the cities be wasted without inhabitant, and the houses without man, and the land be utterly desolate. Guess when that happened? It's only one time that happened, that the land was totally desolate of Hebrews, where it wasn't none in the land, because you was either in Africa worshiping the Egyptian religion, who we are descended from, or you was those exiles, that 1% a tenth that was taken to Babylon. And for 50 years, from 588 BC to 538 BC, 588 to 538 is 50 years. The land was empty without no Hebrews in it. And then when you go to the book of Jeremiah, he said this in 35 BC. All right, and then when you get to the book of Jeremiah, this is like 100 some years later. It really didn't even take long. And then you get to chapter 44. You'll see the word came, Jeremiah chapter 44, the word that came to Jeremiah concerning all Judea which dwelled in the land of Egypt, which dwelt at Midigo and at Tapanah. See, Judah, you know what I'm saying, the Creator thought it was maybe a hope for some of those descendants, because those was David descendants, and they was, real good with following the law. Israel was totally corrupt. You see what I'm saying? We was totally lost, the majority of us. All right, so, we was all in Egypt, because, I showed you during Hezekiah time that they was there, and during King Josiah time that Israel was there. Matter of fact, he cleaned up the whole Israel. I should have showed that too. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna be Second Chronicles 34:41. He cleaned the whole Israel up, and that was our only chance. And then the Egyptians come kill them. And then this is the history, the book of Jeremiah, and all the prophecies that Prophet Isaiah said, kind of, some of it come to pass in the book of Jeremiah 134 years later. See, and it says, thus saith the Elohim of hosts, the Yah of Israel, ye have seen all the evil that I have brought upon Jerusalem and upon all the cities of Judah. And behold, this day they are a desolation, and no man dwelleth therein. Just what Prophet Isaiah had said. the prophecy he made, well, it came to pass in Jeremiah days. You know what I'm saying? The whole land. Did that make sense to y'all?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yeah.
Y'all see, I know this whole book. Don't too many people know the whole book in detail. I do the whole book with dates, timeline, and everything. All right, you just tell me when you're ready.
Okay.
And it started. All right, the book of Jeremiah, you know, show what prophet Isaiah had said came to pass when he said that the land will be desolate and without inhibiting. Well, we all had ran into Africa in the book of Jeremiah. You know, we said we didn't, want to do the law no more. All right, and this is what else prophet Isaiah had said. This is, in 735 BC. Then said I, how long? And he answered, until the cities be wasted without inhabitant, and the houses without men, and the land be utterly desolate, and the Elohim have removed men far away, and there be a great forsaking in the midst of the land. All right, the only time that people been moved far away is kind of like during the Babylonian captivity. You see what I'm saying? Because the ones from Assyria that the Assyrians had took came back home. You know what I'm saying? It's called the satire history of Egypt. And even the creator said that, it'll be a highway from Egypt to Assyria, and that we will be aligned with the Assyrians. Because like I said, the Assyrians took those 3 tribes, because we was on that Egyptian religion. They was weak. They took them and helped them fight in their army to fight against the Babylonians, who was trying to take Egypt over. The Scythians and the Chaldeans and all them white folks had got into Babylon, and now they was attacking the mixed folks, the Assyrians. You see what I'm saying? And they was taking the mixed folks down. But the mixed folks was cool with us. You know what I'm saying? Those Hebrews. You know what I'm saying? In the Africans, who they come from. You know what I'm saying? Usher, who is the founder of Assyria, was a son of Nimrod. And Nimrod is a son of Cush, who is a son of Ham, who represent the African nations. You see what I'm saying? All right. So, and he said, and the Elohim have removed men from far away, and there be a great forsaking in the midst of the land. All right. That happened in the book of Jeremiah. And this is how we went into Africa. See, it showed that we was in Africa. All right, and it showed that the land was desolate. All right, when you get down to verse 15, this is us forsaking, you know what I'm saying, the covenant. When you get chapter 44, verse 15, and it says, then all the men which knew that their wives had burnt incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by, a great multitude, even all the people that dwelled in the land of Egypt, and Pathros answered Jeremiah, saying, as for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Elohim, we will not hearken unto thee, but we will certainly do so whatever thing go forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we, our fathers, our kings, and our princes, in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of food, and were well, and saw no evil. But since we left off to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things, and have been consumed by the sword and by famine. That was the state of mind we was in. We said because we wasn't doing the Egyptian religion, and we wasn't in Africa, it's the reason all this stuff was happening to us. And this was during the Babylonian wars. They had caught the king, put his eyes out. They was filleting folks' skin. They was burning them. They burnt the whole. Matter of fact, we couldn't even come back anyway, because they had burnt the whole town down. Look, the Babylonians burnt the whole town down. If you go to, this gonna be Jeremiah 39, verse 8. And the Chaldeans burnt the king's house and the house of the people with fire, and break down all the walls of Jerusalem. See what I'm saying? So when we went into Africa, they burnt up everything. With no coming back, and we seen all them burning everything up, we wouldn't want to come back. So we were so so corrupt and so hard that we see we don't even want to worship the covenant no more. We don't even want to do Egyptian religion. And we going back into Egypt to worship their religion. Guess what? The Creator had said we was going to do that long time ago before we even did it. Check this out. If you go to Deuteronomy 32, this is dealing with the Creator and Prophet Moses, who we got our law from the start. And he said this, look, ain't there something? Turn right to it out of all these pages. Look, Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 8. No, that's not it. But you know what I'm saying? That says when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. Everything based on us. But here it is right here. All right. Let me see. And the Elohim said unto Moses, behold, thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, and this people will rise up and go a-whoring after the gods of the strangers of the land where they go to be among them, and will forsake me and break my covenant which I have made with them. All right, then Prophet Moses said this, for I know that after my death, that this is Deuteronomy 31, verse 29. For I know that after my death, you will utterly corrupt yourselves and turn aside from the way which I have commanded you, and evil will befall you in the latter days, because ye will do evil in the sight of the Elohim to provoke him to anger through the works of your hands. And we did that in the book of Jeremiah when we said that we was going back into Egypt to worship them Egyptian religions. Well, we never returned back to the promised land, because guess what? The Babylonians came into Egypt and took Egypt over. We had to get on down into the Sahara in the western parts of Egypt. You know, Nebuchadnezzar, you know, they real quiet about this in history. That Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonians actually came and took Egypt over. They didn't deport none of us that had ran into Africa in the book of Jeremiah. That's who we represent. You know, they didn't deport none of us to Babylon with that 1% that they had took. You know, and that's what Prophet Isaiah was finish telling us about, you know, what happened to them and what will become of that 1% that was taken to Babylon. You know what I'm saying? That 10th. You know, and the Elohim have removed men far away, and there be a great forsaking in the midst of the land, but yet in it shall be a 10th, and it shall return and shall be eaten as a teal tree and as a oak whose substance is in them when they cast their leaves. So the holy seed shall be the substance thereof. That's destruction. That's death for the exiles. And that's the book of Ezra, Nehemiah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi. If you read those prophets in their history, they'll show that we didn't come back out of Africa to be reunited with that 1% that was taken to Babylon. You see, they got free. See, the Babylonians captured them, chased us into Africa, captured them, took them to Babylon. The Persians come, defeat the Babylonians, released them, and took Egypt over. And we didn't come back out of Africa to be reunited with them. You see what I'm saying? That 1%. We stayed in Africa. When we said forget the covenant and everything that got to do with it, we doing African stuff. You see what I'm saying? All right. That 1% was destroyed. And if you look in history, all right, the last book gonna be Malachi, the book of Malachi. You know, so I can go into all the history. And then it also showed the book of Ezra and the book of Nehemiah showed that Israel was among the Babylonian captivity. They was taken. But see, we were starting to lose our heritage in the prophet Ezekiel when he was taken to Babylon. See, that's what the book of Ezekiel is about. You know, he was taken to Babylon. He was one of the prophets that was taken to Babylon. And Ezra and Nehemiah and them as the prophets that come back. You know, we was covered all the way around. The only way we didn't get covered by a prophet is when we went into Africa. No prophet covered us there. Jeremiah stopped because we said we wasn't going to do the law. You know what I'm saying? We said we wasn't going to do the law. You know, so the our history stopped. But those exiles' history continued because they were still up under the law from Moses. You know what I'm saying? That when we first got the law, they were still up under covenant law. You know, in the book of Haggai, show you that too. You know, so they couldn't mix. They couldn't do nothing. None of that stuff. And the exiles was mixing, man. They started mixing. Look, see, the book of Haggai, 520 BC. See, they was freed in 538 BC. All right, in 520 BC, you know, they was still up under covenant law because they had went to the Babylon like the Creator said, and he freed them, and they come back to the promised land. And when you on the promised land, you under covenant law. You see what I'm saying? According to the word, this is Haggai too. According to the word that I come covenant with you when you come out of Egypt, so my spirit remaineth among you, fear ye not. He was talking about that 10th, that exiles that come back. You know, they were still up under the law from Moses, but they start sinning so bad, they start mixing with the people, the enemies that was still in the land, that didn't get taken to Babylon, because you remember them Sepharvims was still there. The Babylonians didn't take them because they was kin to them. You see, they was from Babylon too. So the Babylonians didn't take them. And when we went into Africa, we abandoned our whole heritage to those Sephardi Jews. They didn't take them. They only took us, that 1%. So, you know, it was some people still in the land. And then when the exiles come back, they start mixing with them. Some of them. And we had to make a proclamation that they shouldn't do that. But they did. And then that's what made the Greeks come in. See, the only time a big nation come in and occupy our land is because we done sin. And our sin done brung them folks. Well, he brung the Greeks in and it destroyed them. And it was just like Prophet Isaiah said, that 10th that will be destroyed, that will be like some dead leaves in a tree who done lost its substance. You know what I'm saying? The tear tree, you know, whose substance is in them when they cast their leaves. That's death right there. You know, the tree shut down, but then it's over with until another season. And then that's us, that other season, you know, when our resurrection come about. But the book of Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, Nehemiah, and Ezra, those 5 books cover the exiles that come back from Babylon from 538 BC to 538 BC to 420 BC. The Greeks come in 332 BC, knock them off. We in Africa are the only Hebrews, and we was transported to slavery just like the curses calls for. You know what I'm saying? And that's our history in a little short fashion. You know, shalom.
Shalom.
All right.